tree-on-tree warfare. That's what I'm here for.
2 trees, 1 axe.
Well,
2 rogues, 1 chainsaw. This is going in a weird direction.
No, I'm digging your freestyle beat poetry.
Oak tree, oak tree. Why do you threaten me?
Jeff, move! Timber!
This episode of The Mod Rogue is brought to you by Squarespace.com/rogue. Spell it right. R-O-G-U-E. Hooray for me. Should I keep going? No, I probably shouldn't.
Probably should have recorded that.
Oh no! Jason Murphy, how many years have we done content together?
A lot.
Like, we're coming up on 20 years.
Is it? Yeah.
Is this our first time getting called in to the principal's office?
Bring it on.
Oh yeah, I'm here too. Hi, fellas.
Hello.
That's a logging joke.
What?
Oh, we felled a tree.
Because people who cut down trees are called fellers.
Yeah.
Are they really?
That's where
Yeah.
I've heard that one before around the camp.
they...
It's after this, I got recruited to. Oh, he's got his arms crossed. I couldn't.
Yeah, so I called you here for a very specific reason. You guys cut down a tree, what, 3-4 weeks ago at this point?
Nobody knows. There's no evidence
proof.
of it.
You can't prove that.
I've been editing the video.
Oh.
And when I edit the video, sometimes I watch other videos for like research and like understanding the context of what you guys did. I started seeing more red flags.
I will admit, it didn't go the way I thought it would.
Do you want to know how I first knew that something went wrong?
From the comments on the 1-minute video provided just with the evidence of the already chopped down tree.
No, I don't read the comments. Usually when an arborist cuts down a tree, it can take anywhere from like 1 to 2 minutes. When I got the footage, it was 3 hours.
It was a long day.
Yeah.
It was a gorgeous day.
I'm sure.
Beautiful day. It looked like that. It
Yeah,
looked a lot like that.
So we're gonna watch through this video.
Okay.
And we're gonna take it step by step, and whenever we see something that I feel like maybe needs more context, we'll pause it, and it'll come back to us, and we'll just talk through it.
I would like to point out right now that the video we're about to watch is 20 minutes long. Congratulations on this 90-minute extravaganza. We just had an apocalypse, and all the trees died, except for the one tree that's already definitely dead and needs to go away. Like every time there's a breeze, Widowmaker branches. Thank goodness for this persimmon. Is this a persimmon?
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 Brian, this is a chinaberry.
Yes.
The chinaberries are not edible, however, although there are some edible, I don't know. I was halfway listening to Annalisa.
I do love the idea of you just trying to eat wood. Just eating a tree. Like, I don't understand. It says it's a berry.
Just chew it on a branch.
All I know is that it's a volunteer species and that they grow fast and die fast and then love to have their branches fall on us. I know that we tried to chop down a tree before, and then we found out
It wasn't a tree.
it wasn't a tree. There are real stakes because if this goes backwards, it's gonna land on my office. There's a billion different ways to do it, depending on the type of tree or whatever. We have a tree that is mostly leaning forward, although it's got a lot of stuff in the back. It's roughly balanced. As I understand it, our goal is to create at least a 75-degree cut about a third of the way in here,
Right.
in the direction we want it to go. How high up we want to make the cut depends on how much of a stump we want. I actually wouldn't mind a decent-sized stump here.
Little stump? Okay.
Maybe we'll just level it off and have a little seat.
Now, you guys mentioned notches. You said 75 degrees. That's okay. There are different types of notches you can do. The depth of the notch varies. Some people will say it should go in a fifth into the diameter of the tree. Some people say it should be a third. In a little bit, I'll talk a little bit more about how you specifically measure that, but that's usually where it ends up falling. So you guys got that right. You can go as high as like 90 or as low as 45, but I would say most of the time you're looking at like 60 to 70 degrees, and typically you do that with a sort of diagonal cut into the tree and then a horizontal cut. And usually it's just 2 cuts, but to each their own.
he was trying to get it right. We were trying to get it just right.
How quickly the language changes. That was a smooth adjustment, my friend.
Okay, so face cut here.
Yeah, give or take, maybe like
over
this,
here
right?
a little
Yeah,
more,
yeah.
send it
So
more that
70
way?
degrees, about 30% back.
Okay.
But we got to make sure that we're aimed that way.
Because your face cut is where it's gonna fall.
Next up, we're gonna bore in a spot on one side, a spot on another side, and we're gonna put wedges in there, hammer it in, and then finally we're just gonna cut that guy, and it should just fall that way.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably fine.
That was
That was the problem. That was me. That was on me.
that was
Easy.
That was me.
was
That was me. Broke the Bryce rule.
said the E word. So okay, it's probably fine. So if it's going backwards, 45 degrees, 45 degrees,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
I got my route picked.
I believe this is the same rule with like trains. If if you're running,
Oh.
if your car is stuck on the track and the train's gonna go, you want to be 45 headed towards the train, right?
I don't know about trains.
Ha, gotcha.
Yeah. What now? God, I wish you pulled out a conductor's cap.
No, it's like, sorry, all of this was secretly about trains.
Yeah.
No.
Welcome to the secret train episode.
I do want to give you points. Yes, you first, before you cut anything, you want to have escape routes. 45 degrees, totally right.
Okay, all right, I'll put on gloves.
I'm gonna try it. Everybody ready?
I'm a little bit worried that you'll get something. Do you want to spot me and let me know if it looks like
Yeah.
I'm perpendicular here? Oh, that was the big surprise, is everything at the top of this tree is totally desiccated and fragile.
Yeah.
But the bottom
It was not fragile.
It's really important at this point to address personal protective equipment, which you guys kind of didn't have much. I'll say you had long sleeve shirt on, you had gloves on, that's something.
if we were being grown-ups, we would have, they're like Kevlar chaps, is that a thing? And yes, we should have full-on goggles on, but both of us were wearing glasses,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
kind of a fudgy nod to doing the right thing, but we didn't do the right thing.
Also, I would have loved to have seen you guys in boots. Jason might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you weren't cutting.
I wasn't.
So-
I wasn't in boots.
Yeah. What
yeah.
did you have on? Did you? You weren't
It
flip-flopping,
wasn't.
were you?
It wasn't flip flops. It was closed-toed shoes.
I would have said something.
But also, hearing protection, guys. We got a lot of it out on the soundstage.
Here's a question that I'll kick out to the comments because my wife asked the same thing. Was I wearing hearing protection as I was carving up all of the fallen branches? And I said, well, I have AirPods in with the noise cancellation turned on. And I was listening to podcasts or what have you. Is that enough? Is that good?
No, so I actually totally separate to this. I did a tiny bit of research on that just because I was looking to buy new earbuds. And I don't think it's sufficient enough. It doesn't quite have like the safety rating, and you're also risking your hearing based on whether or not the software can keep up with whatever sounds are coming in.
I didn't want to use hearing protection because I wanted to make sure I could hear Jeff go, oh God, run.
Not to spoil anything.
I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, so a lot of times people will cut down trees just by themselves, but for you guys, having a spotter would probably be really useful. It's tough to do visual signals because you're paying attention to the tree, although you should be looking up often.
Always.
When you are cutting, because falling branches, as you said earlier, widowmakers falling all the time, which leads me to the next piece of safety equipment.
Helmets.
Helmets.
Yeah.
This is not a dangerous job. This is a deadly job. People die doing this. Now, they do sell helmets that have eye protection and ear protection built into them. So you could just kind of go that route. They're a little more pricey.
It is worth noting that we weren't trying to depict like this is our daily job. This is, we had a disaster, a true natural disaster happen in Austin, and we're cleaning up things, including this tree that definitely needed to go. That's not an excuse.
Yeah.
Okay. God, that says it all. That says it all right there. That says how dull the blade is. That says how out of my depth I am.
So at this point, I would love to hear Where did you get this chainsaw? Did you inspect it beforehand?
It's my dad's.
I assume you just assumed that it was sharp enough because it's a chainsaw?
Yep.
How do you,
Okay.
do you sharpen chainsaws or you just get a new chain?
I think you could do both.
Oh, okay.
I think both are options. I don't really know about that.
I know for sure we didn't either.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We didn't do any of those.
Yeah, so I also don't really know about the hardness of trees, although I will get into tensile strength of trees in a little bit, which is fun.
This is the best ghost story ever.
Maybe that was a hard tree, but I think it's also pretty apparent that the chainsaw was dull. And we'll see that in a little bit where you are actually burning the wood due to friction. Because you're not actually cutting it, you're just spinning it really fast.
Oh, wow.
You'll see a bunch of smoke.
Yeah.
That's the wood burning. You'll see some char marks on the edge of the cut.
Not supposed to happen.
Not supposed to happen.
There's a few of those.
And actually,
I really thought we were
If I may, and you can cut this out.
okay.
you just run away. If I may.
Can I just point at like how iconic this picture is, and also the picture on my wallet?
It's pretty good.
I bet Leatherface was also filled with regret.
He was probably real mad.
Yeah, but he
like,
probably had a sharp chainsaw.
he probably did.
So I'll just say there's an old adage that we're all probably familiar with, maybe not Jason. When you're in the kitchen cooking, a dull knife is more dangerous than a sharp knife.
Right.
Because a sharp knife can cut you, but a dull knife is unpredictable.
Right.
I assume the same is probably very true here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Seems like a very hard tree. Do we like this angle? Basically, this is perpendicular that way, right?
If you're aiming for that tree, get it a little more over here.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Not too much, but a little bit.
All right. That was good. We had another pair of eyes on the situation because it's hard to know what way you're aiming when you're cutting.
That's teamwork, Brandt.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad way to go. Did you know that there's a felling line on the chainsaw? There is a line on the side of the chainsaw that you can look at that runs perpendicular to the blade. And if you look at it, it points to where the tree will fall.
What?
I'm so glad that we're making this video so people know that now. What just happened?
Furious.
Wait, are you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I just knocked that over.
Roadhouse!
I'm gonna at least cut this out and see how much we like it.
Okay.
Was this too early? Did I really mess up right now, or should I have kept on going down?
No, so generally speaking, when you're cutting the notch or the face cut, everything has like 5 terms, and they all mean the same thing. So when you're doing the face cut or the notch, it's better to cut it too shallow than too deep. Because once you go too deep, you can't make it shallower. It's like a haircut.
Okay. Or it's like when you're playing Minecraft and you just mine straight down and now you're trapped.
Don't ever do that.
In fact, with this tree in particular, the face cut should probably be a little bit more shallow, and I'll get to that.
Really? Wow. I was certain that the way I screwed up was that I didn't make it deep enough. That's amazing. Can you pluck that out? Well, that's a start.
It's a start.
So that is a start.
Yeah.
Now might be a good time to talk about like how deep the face cut should go. There are 3 parts to any sort of cutting into a tree. There's your notch or the face cut, which you're doing now. There's the hinge,
Yep.
which you guys didn't really understand. And then there's the back cut or the felling cut. And the back cut is when you cut through the back and then the tree falls over. But the face cut kind of depends upon the hinge. The hinge has very specific dimension. First thing you want to do is measure the diameter of the tree. You want to do this before you're cutting.
Wait, like actually with measuring tape and the whole 9 yards?
Yes, but before you start cutting, you should know how tall it is and you should know the diameter of the tree.
We didn't do any of that.
Sort of
Yeah.
It's like that's.
If you want to do it by the book, once you get experience, you can kind of feel these things out. But Yeah, so there's measuring tape that is actually like diameter tape that you wrap around something and it does the conversion for you. So you don't have to do math, which is nice. So the hinge is really important. The hinge is going to fall along where the diameter is at 80%.
Basically, trees don't want to fall until 80% of them are cut out.
Pretty much.
Okay. Really?
Well, not even 80% in, although it does tend to fall, your notch is gonna be anywhere from 20 to 35% or something like that. So that's when the hinge starts. The hinge has a thickness of 10% of the diameter of the tree.
Okay.
So this particular tree, I went outside and measured. It's 15 inches.
This is the moment when we realize how much trouble we're in.
This is a bit of an odd shape. It's not perfectly circular. It's kind of oblong.
There's our problem.
Yeah. It is kind of tricky though. So the diameter along the direction that you want it to fall is 15 inches. So 1.5 inches behind the face notch, or the face cut, is gonna be your hinge. And this is a section of wood that you never touch, you never cut. It is unbroken wood fibers from the stump up through the main branch of the tree. And the purpose of this is, I'll actually show you. 1 second.
I swear to God, if he grows a tree right now.
So I have a vertical slice of a stump here.
Yes.
So here you have your notch, your face cut, right? And then here you have all this wood that you're going to eventually cut with the back cut.
Right.
So you have this unbroken bit called the hinge, and the whole purpose of the hinge is to aim where the tree falls because it prevents torque.
I see where you're getting.
It will bend this way or this way, but it's not gonna bend this way because it has to compress all the fibers next to it.
Ah, okay.
And that's why you want it to be all the way across the tree, is
Yes.
because it's only gonna go one way or the other. If it goes the wrong way, it's gonna go all the way the wrong way.
Yeah, and that's what the wedges are gonna be for. We'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, the hinge just forces it to basically go in one direction.
It's really hard.
It's a hard tree.
Oh, I think I'm out of gas. Woo! I think it's not as shallow as it should be, but it was as shallow as it should be, right?
Yeah, and actually, I totally forgot to mention this. So because of the weird shape of this, where 80% of the diameter falls in this direction is actually like really close to the edge of the tree. I don't think you necessarily did anything wrong by going a little bit deeper, but I think if you're doing it by the book, it would be a pretty shallow face cut.
There's a book. Didn't read it. I think you keep going. Yeah.
Should I cut this part off?
Yes. Yeah, you still got a notch like right here. You want to come try it from this side?
Yeah. Oh, shit. I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's still more.
All right.
In that area.
Okay, all right.
Hey.
Okay, how are we feeling?
So, how are we feeling?
From what you've said so far, it feels like we aimed the front cut in the right direction. It feels like we didn't go too deep, that it wasn't bad, that it was fairly shallow.
Yep.
It's not great that the chainsaw was not sharp.
Not our fault.
Yeah, ideally it would have been 2 cuts, just whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
It's your dad's fault, actually. I mean,
Yeah,
poor chainsaw maintenance, that's all. I don't want to call Al out on this, but you got to keep that sharp, Al.
You know what? I'm on board with this.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, Dad.
Al.
Yeah. Sharpen your chainsaws, Al.
But so far, you haven't made any mistakes you couldn't correct from at this point.
Okay.
I loved everything about that sentence except for the words "so far."
So far. Pretty
Scared?
good. Pretty good. Let's wedge it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the wedge goes one on this side and the other on the other side. But man, look how long it took us to just cut that.
I know.
I don't think we have a very sharp saw.
Yeah, that's tough. I just wanted to use the hatchet.
Just for grins, you want to just try pushing it, see what happens?
With our hands?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Nope.
There's a ways to go. I'm just so scared to cut in the back.
We've done some dangerous things on Modern Rogue before. We've seen that sometimes fear can cause you to hesitate, and that can be more dangerous than just following through on the plan. I think it'd be really useful for people to hear what exactly made you fearful in this moment, because I think it's not unwarranted. Cutting down trees, as we mentioned, is deadly. It's very dangerous to do.
It's one thing to look at something logically, but there are some counterintuitive illusions, and I see this in magic a lot, where it's like the thing that makes sense isn't the thing that works. And watching a video, I definitely I get it. You're gonna have a couple of wedges, you're gonna make the open part up front, you're gonna cut the spine, and it's only gonna fall one way.
In theory, it all seems sound.
But looking at that thing, you have the in the moment illusion. This is, I suspect, a big part of, the panic that oversets crowds, that causes trampling and all of that. It was scary, and you're right, I did hesitate.
So it sounds like some of it might have been like just decision process or whatever, where you see that there are so many different ways to approach it, and there's so many like nuanced variables and stuff that you maybe don't think of when you see a video of somebody cutting down a tree. Because for them, it's like somebody shows you an equation and then shows you the answer, and you go, oh yeah, that makes sense. But when you get your own equation, you're like, oh, this is more difficult than
The expert bias of the previous video we watched.
Yes,
Right.
This is the moment where the expert would know that there are only a couple of different paths, but the amateur sees a billion different possibilities. And that's definitely what I'm experiencing at this moment. So the purpose of the wedge is it won't rock back and put pressure on the blade
Right.
while you're cutting it across.
Yes.
I'm sure wedges do, in part, keep the tree off of the chainsaw, but I wouldn't say that's the primary purpose of a wedge. Primary purpose of a wedge is once you've done the back cut and you put in the wedge, it uses mechanical advantage to allow you to apply force laterally, to the side, but then because of the shape of the wedge, it applies force up. So you're basically tilting the tree forward. Just like a couple knocks on a wedge can really just totally shift the center of mass of the tree, and it can make it so that it falls over. So it's like, it's not just the chainsaw, it's a really important part of getting the tree to lean the right way so that it falls over of its own accord. The tree is so heavy, especially like up top with all of the branches, it's so heavy that once you get it a little off balance, it just wants to fall over.
That's the trust problem that I had, is you can see me essentially ceasing the ability to trust the physics of what I theoretically understand upstairs.
The deeper we went into it, the more careful we were being and more hesitant, and each move we deliberated on it a lot more before we did anything else. And so it really started to slow the process, and we were hesitant is definitely the word.
So I'm gonna make a little notch on each side.
Okay.
Was this a bad thing? I saw some comments saying that it's bad to poke a chainsaw into the sides because it can like slip off to the side or something. But that's what I saw, is you do that in there so you can put in the wedges.
Okay, yes. So what you're talking about is kickback. I'm sure there's also 5 other terms for it. If you have a chainsaw going at full speed and you touch the edge of the tree with the tip of the bar of the chainsaw, it'll
off.
just fly off. And if you happen to have it vertical, it'll fly up right towards you. So there are ways that you can sort of do this while mitigating the risk of kickback. And the way you do that is you kind of approach it at an angle, and then once you've cut into the tree a little bit, you swing it in, and then you can push in. But some people don't like doing bore cuts or plunge cuts on trees because of the risk of kickback. They just don't want to have to deal with it at all because it can be so dangerous.
Basically, we need a stabby chainsaw, or we can design one.
Or we can learn the technique that was just described.
I don't know, Kickstarter.
Do you think you can
All right.
notch that in there?
Let's see.
No.
Okay.
Feel good?
Oh, yeah. All right.
Yeah?
I think so.
It's like so clearly nothing lines up. It's a funhouse mirror. The job, one job, straight lines. That's
That bottom one right there on the front, that's kind of bothering me.
When you're doing the back cut, usually it's helpful to have it a little bit above the bottom of your face cut.
I thought for sure you wanted them to be lined up.
So you can do them lined up, that's fine. The thing you really don't want is for it to be under. Because if you do it under, when the tree falls, it has a high chance of pulling back over the stump.
Ooh.
The thing I'll say here is your wedges are way too wide.
Too gappy? They should be thinner?
Too thick, yeah. I mean, you could go buy tree felling wedges, 5 for like $20 or something.
And they're usually like this, right? Like
Yeah, they're long and
more
narrow.
slender, yeah.
Yeah, and they're typically made out of plastic. If you have really thick wedges like this, it's gonna be really hard to push it in. You can apply force much easier. If they're more narrow, you can get them deeper into the tree. Sometimes you can stack 2 wedges. If you already have a few wedges in and the tree's not leaning as far as you need it to, you can stack 2 wedges, put some sawdust in between them so they don't stick. And then you can start hammering those in. But these I feel like are too thick to like get anywhere into the tree at all. Also, I would love to just ask what you think the wedges are doing at this point in time.
The way he explained it to me
I'll own it. Yeah.
was basically you cut off the front part and the wedges are there to sort of complete that spine that you were talking about before. And then you, in my mind, a silly metaphor, you break the back, and because the spine is intact and it's missing all this up there, there's only one way for it to go. I'm saying all these words and realizing how silly they sound.
Well, that sounds really good, and it's exactly what I said.
I think if people looked at this and they know a thing or two about trees, they'd be really confused. This is not your intent, but it kind of looks like you're like trying to push the wedge in, hoping that it'll like shear the tree so that it falls.
In my mind, it was to weaken the core while also keeping that straight line across so that it would only fall one way. But if I'm understanding you, by widening all the gaps, we just added a whole bunch of unpredictability to everything.
No, so you could still recover from this. You are not beyond the point of no return.
7 minutes, 48 seconds
It
of
doesn't make any
perfection.
sense.
Oh.
Right now, all these wedges are doing is applying a little bit of tension on what is called the back strap, which is the area of unbroken wood, basically in between the wedges on the back half of the tree.
Right.
But I looked it up because I was really curious. The tensile strength of wood is really high. It's 70 to 140 megapascals, which is 10 to 20,000 pounds per square inch. So that's the amount of force it can take before it starts ripping if you're applying force in parallel
Gotcha.
to the grain.
But a 4-cylinder Jeep Wrangler could take one down, right?
I forgot about that part.
So what I think you were doing at this point in time,
Yes.
I think your intent was to do what's called a bore cut or a plunge cut. The way that you're supposed to do it is you approach from one side, you plunge the chainsaw in, and it goes all the way through the tree out the other side.
What?
Yes.
That wasn't gonna happen.
You go all the way through, and then you start adjusting toward the hinge, and you stop right before the hinge. So that way you preserve the hinge. The hinge, again, you never cut. Then you go back, and you leave about the same depth as the hinge for the back strap. Then you take the chainsaw out. Now you've created like a tunnel inside the tree. And at this point, the back strap is holding the tree up because it's bearing some of the load that the hinge is also bearing.
Which that's the part that terrified me because the words you're saying, they're all true, but at some point you're actually cutting everything and you're like, there's only a little bit of wood keeping the tree from going the wrong way.
But again, if you have that back strap, you would need to apply 10 to 20,000 pounds per square inch to get that to break.
I think you're 100% right. I think every mistake we made was born of that hesitation and that terror of we stopped following the instructions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at this point in the plunge cut, you would hammer in one wedge basically right next to the back strap. You don't have to get it in super deep, you just have to get it till it's snug. And then all you have to do is take a chainsaw and cut the back strap.
Right.
And then either the tree falls or it starts resting on the wedge that you put in and you start hammering in the wedge.
Okay.
Then if it doesn't fall, you put in another wedge and you just keep wedging it until it falls. And then you're done.
I think that's a version of what we were trying to do.
Yeah, it seemed like that's something that should have happened from what we were doing. I think that's what I was thinking. Also, though, to paraphrase Tim, I don't know what any of this does, and I'm scared out of my mind.
All right.
It just seems so.
So yeah, you guys have made some really nice wedge holders inside of the tree.
I would have thought that the wedges would have wedged in. I mean, is that the craziest thing? to think?
That's what wedges do, they wedge.
Yeah. So this is the moment I think I'm doing the back snappy thing you were talking about, right?
It looks like it, yeah. Except you haven't done any of the back cut, which this is supposed to be like a strip that once you cut it, it's now 80% into the tree. Whereas you've cut 2 holes and now you're doing the back cut. So you're not actually like releasing any tension. You're just starting your back cut.
The 2 holes on the side should have gone much deeper.
Yeah, it should have gone all the way through.
Wow, okay.
How you feeling?
It's still leaning the right way.
Yeah.
Nope. Ugh. Ain't nothing to it but to keep on doing it. Oh, yeah.
Nice. I was gonna say we could use the axe blade itself as a wedge, but looks like we don't need to.
Okay, so we got it wedged.
And then there's a little chunk right over here you could get at too. Just right here.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, we're just making stuff up
Yeah,
now.
it's
Like, we've gone completely off book.
we're freestyling at this point.
Yeah, so you from the sound of it, it sounds like you recommended cut the hinge in half.
I mean, I didn't use those words, but
Yeah.
The worst possible thing you could have done.
worst possible thing.
Yeah.
You still got some right here, you should cut it.
The hinge is the only thing that controls the direction that the tree falls.
Oh.
Once you cut that, it's up to gravity. Whatever the branches are leaning, that's where it's gonna fall.
Gravity, she is a harsh mistress.
That's gotta be it, right?
I mean, pretty close, right?
Once you do the face cut, once you cut the notch, You never touch that again. So basically, you want the corners of the notch, the face cut, to meet flush. You never want to overcut because that becomes a real problem. Let's say you make a face cut, but you go too deep on your flat horizontal cut. First of all, you're probably cutting into your hinge a bit. But let's say you get everything else just right. When the tree starts to fall, it falls until this point hits here. Instead of falling all the way off and snapping, it can get stuck. And so it is leaning partially mid-fall, but never fully falls. And at this point, it's super, super dangerous.
Because you don't know on the inside what wood is going to give way at what point, and as a result, it essentially could just slip in any direction.
Basically, yeah. So you can run into the same problem whether you overcut the flat part or the angled part. They both run into issues where the tree doesn't fall enough. It can lead to a bunch of really dangerous situations, so you want to leave the notch perfectly flush at the corners that you cut them.
And this speaks to your point about don't hesitate, because momentum matters. You want that tree to fall and keep on falling.
Yeah, and the whole purpose of the notch is to give the tree room to start falling. And then once the faces of the notch meet, that's when it starts applying so much pressure that it breaks the hinge off. And so then the tree can fall on the ground. There are different ways that you can cut the tree so that the hinge stays intact or that the hinge snaps off, but you never want to cut the notch once it's done.
Maybe more wedges? Yeah, I don't think that wedge is gonna, maybe just keep on hitting that axe in and let's see if we can get enough force.
It sounded good to me.
Just making it up.
Yeah, I mean, it was sound.
I love this though, because I feel like now that you have a little bit more of an understanding of like the mechanics and the physics involved and like what the parts of the cuts do and how they relate to each other, you can see how ridiculous this is.
In my mind, wedges are just the thing that stop it from landing on my office.
It was a safety thing. That's what I was thinking, that the wedges were safety, and that was like, we had to get those in there to keep it from going in the wrong direction. You know, in the Yukon, we wedge the shit out of them. Like, just wedge, 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 wedge. I got fired.
Well, we're supposed to cut from the back now, right?
Yeah.
And so we probably need to take this,
Yeah, and then just cut forward.
and then put another one. Here, give me that one.
Okay.
And then we'll,
We'll get another hammer to
yeah,
have that be the wedge.
yeah.
I don't even know what we're doing at this point.
Yeah. This is the moment where panic begins to overtake me, and this is sort of like the counterintuitive thing if you're being swept out with a riptide is you want to swim to shore. What you should do is swim off to the side, save your energy, and then go up the other way. This is me straight up swimming towards the shore because it's like, don't want it to go that way.
Yeah. It was like at this point where it started getting real dodgy.
Bit more of a beast than expected.
Yeah. Thanks, internet.
That's 2 good wedges. The rock broke. I mean, that's so much of it cut off.
I mean, it's basically cut down.
Yeah, but now it basically is Chekhov's tree. I felt something pop.
Oh,
I felt something pop.
I heard something, yeah.
Is it starting to go?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So that last cut, it actually broke through on the face side, which I think is bad.
Oh, is it?
No, not fair. Not fair. I just went all the way through.
You've actually been all the way through.
This is the point of no return. This is, you've cleaved through the hinge at this point. You have half of a hinge on one side.
Okay.
I now understand how bad a thing that is.
You know, that first cut, maybe you could have gotten away with it where it kind of punched through towards the center of your notch.
This is all now, from here on out, bad idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now it's cut like the wrong, now I guess we need more wedges.
Do we?
Yeah, we need something to make sure it falls the right way.
Yeah. You know, in the moment, it felt like, okay, this isn't gonna work, but I'm gonna push on it anyway. But now watching it, that's dumb.
I will give you points for this. Not a lot of them made it into the video, but you guys were pretty good about reminding everybody, hey, this is a live, active situation. It's dangerous. Everybody remember your pre-planned routes to escape. This could fall over at any minute. Maybe not any minute, but we don't know when it's gonna fall over, so everybody be prepared. You guys were really good about that.
That's one.
That's one.
Got one. All right, so we got 2 wedges. Everything is pushing it that way. We're just gonna fill this and
Yeah.
hopefully weaken it to where it cracks and heads right towards Jeff.
Yep. It's gonna be like a Minecraft tree. We just cut the bottom out and the top is still there.
Oh, I hear it.
Oh,
It's cracking.
I heard a crack.
Push.
I don't know why you had to keep.
Okay,
Okay,
well, it's stuck.
it's pinched.
It is. I think it means,
That it's falling.
yeah. I think I might have to buy my dad a new chainsaw.
Ah, hell. You gotta waller it. This is the worst f***ing WarioWare game ever.
Okay, sure, that seems safe. Okay, and then meanwhile, with that, new plan. The good news is we have wedges that make it not want to go into the shack. Unfortunately, we probably just misjudged it or didn't cut deep enough on the first one, but it really wants to head towards the fence line. So to prevent that, hand me that nylon rope. There. Just grab that, pull that down. And it should be high enough. There we go. And now,
Okay, was this the dumbest intuition? Like, it seems like
That's a safety measure.
You do a rope on a thing and you pull over the thing.
It's physics.
I don't think your instincts were off because sometimes people do pull over trees with rope. Typically, the rope is not doing the actual pulling. It's just sort of there to guide the tree in the right direction.
What if you attached a Jeep to the rope?
oh my God. We'll actually just attach it to the Jeep and we're just gonna tug this guy towards us.
Nice.
Everybody assume that could fall over at any minute. I mean, is that tall enough it's gonna hit this guy?
The Jeep?
Yeah. Probably should have known.
How tall?
We probably should have known. That,
Yeah.
that shouldn't have been a question. That should have been a fact we knew.
Yeah, so a couple of things here. Let's say this had worked. You attached the rope to your Jeep and you pulled it and the tree fell over. Let's say, because you don't know how tall the tree is, it's too tall and you're too close. What's your escape route?
Or
Gun it. You
just straight through that window right over there.
probably would have been pretty badass to see a Jeep dodging a falling tree. You can't get that in Fast 11. I've never seen any of those movies. I don't know, maybe you can.
Not a great idea, but again, sometimes people do use ropes. I feel like your rope was too low. Your rope was probably like 10 feet
That's
high or
true.
something. If you remember in one of our radio videos, Josh brought along this device.
Aerial that we threw up
Yep.
to get all the way up on a tree.
Yeah, you use one of those and you attach a rope to it. You want to, maybe 30 feet up or something like that. around the main branch.
The only defense I have is a failure to understand how strong wood is at this point.
I think so.
Yeah. So typically you don't attach it to a moving vehicle. Typically you attach it to a more secure source, and then you use a winch. And you get it just tight enough that it's kind of holding the tree in place, so that way it doesn't want to fall backwards. You don't want any slack, because if it starts falling backwards, it's just gonna take the rope with it.
Yeah, this is definitely more of that panic moment of like, I mean, it's pretty clear that this rope is not gonna be as strong as we want it to be.
Oh, stay tuned.
I went out there and checked it. It didn't feel like there was much stretch to it. Some ropes do have stretch. You don't want a stretchy rope for this. You want what's called a static line, which doesn't have any give, because stretchy ropes, when you pull on the rope, some of that force gets absorbed by the rope and not the tree. You want it all in the tree. So you want a static line. This is nylon, which I did a quick look. I don't know the thickness of this, but nylon ropes usually have a tensile strength of like a little under 100 pounds, or maybe up to a couple 100 pounds. You want like a polyester rope or something, which will have like multiple thousands of pounds of tensile strength.
Different types of rope.
Yeah.
TIL. Cool.
Yeah, ropes are weird because there's a bunch of different types, like different materials, different weaves and stuff.
How on earth can we know,
What do you mean?
like,
Oh, how tall?
yeah,
Oh, it's been about 30 years since I took that class.
Great question. How tall is that tree? You can do it the way that Jason alluded to, which is measuring your shadow, measuring the shadow of the tree, measuring your height, figuring out the proportionality, and deriving the height of the tree. But
Couldn't remember how to do that.
yeah,
or having the right surveyor's equipment to have an exact 45-degree angle and walking it back until you see the top of the tree and doing the math.
nobody wants to do that. So there are two alternate methods you can use to find the height of a tree.
Okay, maybe like I get Brian to stand in front of the tree, and we know that Brian is like
7 feet tall.
7 feet tall, and then we look and say, okay, and then we just stack the 7 feet tall Brians and see roughly how many Brians the tree is.
Yeah, we just get Circus back and we just have them all stand up on their shoulders.
That's perfect.
Yeah, there you go. No. In my opinion, the coolest way, use a forestry laser, which are really neat. It looks like a little cassette player. It's this little block, and there's an eyepiece. You look through the eyepiece, there's a HUD on the eyepiece. And basically what you do is you point it at the base of the tree, and it will measure the inclination of the laser, and it will shoot a laser, get the return, and tell you the distance. Then you point it at the top of the tree. It measures the inclination and the distance, and it will find out for you exactly how tall that tree is. But that's expensive. Forestry lasers range anywhere from 400 to 600 USD for a basic pair. But that's what the professionals use because you get like an exact readout. For tight tolerances, you'd want that. For not tight tolerances, you can use something else.
Is that the ore that saved our lives?
We used that.
Yeah, so this hasn't been featured in the video yet, but it will. One of the many wedges. It's useful to have something long. You want it to be straight and narrow. So you want to hold this up to your eye. Then you stretch your arm out and you pivot it at full arm's length.
Now your eyes are a 45-degree angle, and if you know how long this is, you could do the math.
You don't even have to do the math.
You don't even have to do the math.
That's what I like.
What you do is you hold this out with the tree behind it, and you move closer or further from the tree. And when it matches from the base of the tree to the top of the tree, you know you are standing exactly as far away from the tree as it is tall.
That's perfect. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite takeaways from doing Hacking the System, available now on Disney Plus. Yes, is measuring how long until sunset by putting your arm out, and basically each finger is 15 minutes, and then and I do that to this very day. I'll be like, we got 2 hours of daylight left.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's just a really great way of being able to be like, hey, where I'm standing is where the tree is gonna fall. Again, if you have tight tolerances, I wouldn't rely on it. So it's worth, double checking that it's actually the right distance away.
All right, you guide me, Jason, and everybody stay very, very clear.
Yep.
There's gonna be bits and pieces that are gonna go flying, and we're back to flop sweat. So we should have eye protection.
Come on, tree. You ain't got... Woo! Okay, it snapped.
Do we have 2 of those? Yeah. There's another one at the base of the tree. Okay. I want to do 2 single lengths instead of one doubled up,
Oh, I see.
just so we keep out of range. Yeah, like, I feel better about this. I feel like the tree's not gonna get to the car. Right?
It's pretty good.
All right, Jason, you guide me.
What kind of knots did you guys use?
They felt good.
Yeah.
They felt-
I used the Palm Springs Lefty, is what they call the one that I used. Most people don't know about that knot.
I don't even have any critiques. I just know we've covered knots on the show before. I figured maybe you would use some of that knowledge you learned in the past.
There was a moment there that showed me tying something to the hitch. I thought, while I was tying it, I hope they don't show me tying this knot.
All right.
Let me know how much juice. This time I'll put it in 4-wheel drive.
Hey, good call.
You ready?
All right, let's do it. Rope is taut. Pulling. Come on. Come on. One of the ropes gave. Huh.
They were bad knots.
I don't even think the knots are necessarily to blame. I think it's
Okay. The rope.
the rope and using the Jeep and not having it cut properly. And
The whole idea is.
yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much everything up until this moment.
Yeah.
No, also I burned out the clutch on the.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
Nope. It's like, no. Shut up. We're going.
Just a quick note. Imagine this is the tree, right? And you remember you guys had the rope a little low.
Yeah.
So imagine what happens if it had worked and you pull this out
Oh, that would be bad.
and then the whole tree falls backward.
Barber chair.
Maybe barber chair, yeah. Just a fun hypothetical for you guys to think about.
So I should have been pushing while he was pulling with the truck. The Jeep.
Actually, that is the one thing I think was smart, is nobody was near the tree.
Are you f***ing kidding me?
Yeah, that crack was a minor branch, and this is a guitar string.
I mean, if we have some tension on this, so we at least have that going for us.
I thought for sure the rope was gonna work.
Yeah. I didn't expect my car to almost die.
Yeah, no kidding.
Let's say we just disconnect this whole blade.
There you go.
Okay. Well, and then at this point,
You might actually be able to pull.
yeah,
Hey, now what?
it's an excellent question.
You can hear, and if you were there, you could also smell the defeat in my heart.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know that the frustration and agony, this is not the first time you were feeling it, but this is when you have like depleted your energy reserves to deal with it.
This, I believe, is also when I tried to call the fire department and they didn't answer.
That's right.
Yeah, I didn't include that in the edit, but I did hear it.
Yeah. Hey, it's Brian again.
It just went straight to voicemail.
It did.
It literally did.
They just no forward.
They're heroes.
Yeah, and there are a couple of episodes of Modern Rogue where people might not realize this, but Brian gets anxious energy, and this, I could definitely feel the anxious energy of, at this point, this would have been a great point where if you weren't shooting an episode, for you to take a break. I mean, double check the weather to make sure there's no huge wind gusts or whatever, but take a break, collect yourself, analyze the situation. But I could tell because you were recording, you were like, hey, there's a lot of people here. I need to just get through this, and that's sometimes where mistakes get made.
We face that a lot, actually, and like, we got to finish the episode. Yeah. Let's push through.
I mean, when in doubt, just more wedges.
That's,
Come on.
I mean-
It seems like eventually that's gonna work.
Wedge, 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 wedge.
Why do you have a pickaxe?
I didn't want to pay somebody to dig an 18-inch deep trench, and I had some energy I needed out of my system, and it turns out all of this is built on limestone. Everything's to code.
Thermite?
I mean,
Do we want to try to saw like up front some more? On that face, right there?
Yeah, I guess we could just use the handsaw.
Yeah.
along there and try to push in like you were on the other side, you might relieve enough of the grabbing pressure. Or it'll just fall on its own. But I think there's too much connected on the backside. That's why it's not going to tip forward.
Trying real hard to not call the fire department. It bent the pickaxe. Me.
You stupid tree.
I know what I'm gonna do.
What you gonna do?
I'm gonna get on this tree. I'm just gonna push it straight back.
All right.
You guys get ready to run.
Ready.
Nope.
Yeah, it's not given, huh?
No, if that car wasn't gonna do it.
Yeah.
This is the point when we were doing it where I was just like, there was no idea of shooting an episode anymore. It was just like, just want to get the tree down. Cameras, whatever. Yeah, could you guys all shut up? We just got to get the tree down. And that was the best. We're gonna hang in there.
At this point, I'm just impressed.
This is why it's dangerous to try to rescue somebody who's drowning, because they're gonna pull you down with them.
That's right.
Hey. Okay, that's more progress.
There we go.
I think it's all the pressure that's built up, right? Or all
Yeah.
the tension.
Yeah. Real quick, behind the camera, there's a great moment when Bryce is panicking. And he's panicking because he doesn't remember if the right word to say is for or timber.
And you can hear him saying both.
Yes.
No.
Oh, wait, for!
Chip, move. Timber! Holy sh! Holy sh! Just turn it off. Oh. No.
Oh, wait,
Chip, move. Timber!
So with this angle, you can pretty clearly see the direction you guys wanted the tree to fall and the direction that it actually fell
We were off.
at about a 90-degree angle.
That's significant. That is, yeah.
Yeah, thankfully this was a slow enough fall that you guys were able to get away from it far enough that I don't think that was ever gonna be a huge risk. When a tree comes down, branches can fly off and they can go in different directions. So you're still kind of at risk of that.
You get like a lot of wooden shrapnel, so
Yeah.
you really want to get clear, even if the bulk of it is not going to land on you.
Holy sh! What the f?
I didn't even know and I look up and I see Jeff going, hey.
Look at this. Look at how much we were down to.
Wow.
So you see those spiky fibers there?
Yes.
That is what is left of your hinge.
The thing we're not supposed to cut.
Thing you're not supposed to cut.
And is supposed to go all the way across, and also this is on the wrong side of the tree.
There's a couple of problems there.
Yeah, room for improvement.
Room for improvement, yeah.
Wow. Didn't even go the right way.
Not even kinda.
Wow, we're dipshits. The truest thing we've said in the entire episode.
That's got to stay in the cut.
At least you're self-aware.
Look at it, just, oh God, exhaustion. I was so tired. So tired when this
I
was
believe
done.
it.
Brandt, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for taking the time to specifically educate us.
I'm glad you guys are receptive to the knowledge and information. I'm glad we could all learn something together, and we could make something useful out of this scary situation.
I'm glad the tree is shorter than I feared, and it didn't hit the fence or nothing.
It looks a lot bigger when it's on the ground.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Wave of relief time.
we finally did it.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna hire an arborist next time. That was some bullshit.
Woo!
Bryce, how long have I been doing this? All this internet shenanigans?
45 years?
No, I'm not.
55 years?
No, I'm not that old. You know what? It's been a while. I first started making video content back in 2006, so it has been a minute, but I'm feeling, maybe it's me getting to my middle-age years, but it's like, I believe everybody has a song in their heart. They have a message for the world. Steve Jobs said, that you need to make a dent in the universe, and Squarespace, from conception to execution to scaling, makes all of it possible. They have award-winning, beautiful templates that make it easy to have a professional-looking blog, portfolio, website, whatever you want. And then once you start building up a fan base, they can handle your emails. They make it easy with video blocks to have fast loading pages that take people to video content. You can build an online store with it. All of it safe, secure, 24/7 support, 99.99% uptime. You can't beat Squarespace. Give it a try yourself. Squarespace.com/rogue. Spell it right, R-O-G-U-E. You can give it a free try, and when you sign up, 10% off your first order. Soon you're gonna be like me, you're gonna have like 17 different Squarespace sites. Squarespace is the best. They support us, we love them. Squarespace.com/rogue.
Modern Rogue is supported in part by viewers like you at patreon.com/modernrogue. In the description, you can find all of our credits and additional ways to support the show.
Feel like gotta go get some barbecue.
I feel like I gotta go my pants.
Maybe hop on a horse or look at it from that perspective. That's a lot of tree.
Yeah, and it was all healthy on the inside.
Yeah. That made it a little harder.
Yeah. Look at these top branches that we were afraid of. See, this was what was falling on us all the time.
Yep.
This is why we were no, I'm not gonna reset the injury counter now. Not after making it this far.
During the credits.